Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. A cadre of 30 police officers are honing their skills in fighting crime through a crime scene management course which got underway here on Tuesday, October 17th at the Argyle Fire Station Training Room. The training is being facilitated by experts from the Implementation Agency for Crime and Security, CARICOM Impacts, and the Regional Security System, the RSS, in collaboration with the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force. At the official opening ceremony yesterday, Attorney General Grenville Williams, in his address, touched on the police's responsibility to take care of their resources and assets, managing crime, community policing, communication, crime scene management, evidence collection and preservation, among other areas. Commending police officers for their service to the RSVG Police Force and SVG, Williams told the officers in attendance they do an important work and execute an important service and serve the people of SVG very well, and on most occasions they are not given the credit.
The negative, when the police does not do something, or there's a perception that the police does not do something right. I want you to know and always remember that you are performing a very important role on behalf of all the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They may be your relatives, your mother, your sister, your brother, or they may not be. But in order for us to have a blessed St. Vincent, a safe St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you are performing a very important and critical work. So I want to establish that very early, and I want to commend all of you. And if you could join me and join yourself in giving yourself a round of applause for serving the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The Attorney General submitted that the first mission of all Vincentians should be to aim for a society with limited crime, a society where there is respect for life and where conflict resolution is at the core of our DNA and psyche.
Our first instinct must be, how can we escalate a challenging situation? How can we de-escalate a conflict? How can we do no harm to our fellow human beings? Crime, as you well know, is not restricted to an assault on our physical being. But of course, there are crimes related to property, whether that's robbery, drug trafficking, white-collar crime, money laundering, whatever it may be. As law enforcement agents, as servants of the people, you have a very important role to play in crime fighting, whether as the Commissioner of Police or the men and women serving as part of his team. And we have the technical specialists here from the Regional Security System and CARICOM Impacts, so ably represented. These are regional agencies who partner with us to make St. Vincent a safe place.
Williams enunciated various ways in which the police and society can manage, mitigate, and reduce crime.
There must be a clear national strategy and policy for the police force and to combat crime. And this must be supported by clear and flexible plans. There must be a program of continuous professional development. While your initial training is important, in order for you to be professional at your job, there must be a systematic, continuous program of training and development. And from my perspective, this program of training and development should be taken into consideration when persons are being considered for promotion. How many courses you've undertaken? How did you perform during those courses? How did you apply those courses and the information gleaned from such courses in your everyday undertakings as a police officer? I heard mentioned that there are 1,000 or thereabout serving police officers. But I will say, and as a member of the public, sometimes the question is asked, where is the police? We are not feeling the presence of the police. So it is important that your presence is felt. whether we see you on patrol, and I noticed there are a few patrols going on in Kingston now. I can't speak for other communities, but last evening I saw a number of officers about. It is important that the public feel your presence.
The training course will culminate at the same venue on Thursday, October 19, 2023 at 3 p.m. with a practical exercise. And Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is in Ottawa, Canada, attending the first ever Canada CARICOM Summit. The summit, which runs from October 17 to 19, is being co-chaired by Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett, who is the current chair of CARICOM. The agenda to be discussed at the event includes climate change and resilience, access to finance and global financial architectural reform, Haiti, regional security and trade, and investment. The team, Strategic Partners for a Resilient Future, focuses on Canada's strong ties with the Caribbean with the aim of strengthening cooperation and charting a better future. PM Gonsalves is leading the SVG delegation, which includes Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Kiesel Peters. And on radio today, Acting Prime Minister Montgomery Daniel said that the summit is an important meeting for SVG and other CARICOM member states.
Change, including mechanisms for peace in Haiti and much more. And of course, the world today is very challenging. We see what is happening in Israel. And you know, one just have to make sure that there's sober thinking.
Yes.
So, he's been accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Kiesel Peters. And Prime Minister continues to do an excellent work, not only for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but the wider Caribbean and the world as a whole. And so I want to wish them well in that meeting. The outcomes of that meeting means quite a lot for the CARICOM region. And I think this is, you know, what we should be looking for. The goal is to ensure that, you know, we have a better community, one that is much more pleasing, one that is inviting to a proper way of life and living. Mm-hmm. So there they are, working for the good of the nation. And I want to wish them well in their endeavors.
The work on the multi-million-dollar port modernization project is on target to meet its completion deadline in 2025. This is according to Acting Prime Minister Montgomery Daniel, who on radio today said the project team leader Lenski Douglas continues to provide update on the project and commend him and his team for their work thus far.
Project is the second largest project in terms of expenditure in this country. Just over some $600 million would be spent on this project to have its completion. We have seen quite lately, of course, where the piles are now being driven into the ground to establish that demarcation of the perimeter of the 16 acres of lands that have been reclaimed there. We have also seen quite lately that the buildings, frames of the buildings are being established. And so we are looking very much as to the developments that are ongoing. And according to Lenski Douglas, of course, who is the team leader on the project and who is doing a great job, of course, Lenski Douglas has indicated to us, of course, that things are on stream, works are on schedule, and I see within Lenski a young engineer, a gentleman who has a high level of patriotism and who intends to work hard for this country. And so I want to thank him for the work he has been doing so far, so good on that project.
And the Prime Ministerial Advisory Council on Youth is set to launch on Monday, October 23rd at 7 p.m. at the Methodist Church Hall. The council will be launched under the theme, A Balancing Experience with Youth. A news release from the Agency for Public Information says there will be 3 main speakers at the launching event. They include Senator Shaquille Bob, Minister with Youth Responsibility Orlando Brewster, and the featured speaker, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. The news release says a star-studded youth cast is expected to provide entertainment, and the general public is invited to be part of the experience. And some information now on the weather system approaching the island chain. The SVG Met Service says the area of low pressure located over the western tropical Atlantic has been upgraded to Tropical Storm Tami. And at 5 p.m., the center of Tropical Storm Tami was located near latitude 13 degrees north, longitude 51.7 degrees west, or approximately 625 miles east of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and moving towards the west at 23 miles per hour. A turn towards the west-northwest is forecast tomorrow, followed by a turn towards the northwest. Maximum sustained winds are 40 miles per hour with higher gusts. Gradually strengthening is forecast during the next couple of days. According to the SVG Met Service, based on the latest forecast track, the center of the tropical storm Tami is expected to pass well north of mainland St. Vincent during Friday, October 20th, 2023. No tropical storm watch is required for St. Vincent and the Grenadines at this time. However, the Met Service says regardless of track or further development of this system, pockets of moderate to heavy showers, thunderstorm activity and gusty winds are likely across St. Vincent and the Grenadines from late Thursday. The public is therefore advised to stay informed with the progress of this system during the next few days. The SVG Met Service says it will continue to closely monitor Tropical Storm Tami. In more local news now, we hear that a shipment of over 100 heads of sheep arrived in the state yesterday from the USA on an Amerijet flight to the Argyle International Airport. The sheep will be added to the national herd stock as part of the National Livestock Enhancement Program, which is a component of the $27 million World Bank-funded food insecurity project. The sheep, which were handed over to the vet division of the Ministry of Agriculture at the AIA, witnessed by Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Saboto Caesar, and other representatives from the ministries, as well as the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. Chief Vet Officer or Head of the Vet Division, Dr. Katyan Haksha Herbert, said the arrival of the Pedig Sheep has been long awaited and they are happy to have them here, noting that it is part of a wider program to develop the small ruminant industry here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The background because they're also happy to be here, and we really want at this time to move swiftly so that they can get to their place where they can settle down. This program, as I said, is part of the development of our small ruminants production. They are going to be used as breeders for the weaners to be put on farms. We'll be having them on satellite farms as well, so that we can have a quick, rapid turnover production to increase our productivity. And also we know that we are trying to decrease our food import by 2025, and this is a wonderful program that we're having at this time.
The Deputy Chief Agricultural Officer Colvin King said he is also happy to see the arrival of the shipment of sheep, noting that the Food Insecurity Project is aimed at ensuring food security by increasing food production and productivity.
And to ensure that we don't get to the point of a potential food crisis. Of course, our protein diet is important, and ruminants are part of that whole operation because unlike chicken and pigs, most of the feed come from a local source, and so it fits in really well in terms of our food security. And I'm happy that the project is beginning to deliver on some of the outputs intended.
All right, good morning, everyone. And so I'm also excited. I share the excitement with my colleagues, being able to come to the point where we can actually see this first deliverable under the wider UBEC, Unleashing the Blue Economy of the Caribbean, the component number 3, the contingency emergency response component. Being able to see the first deliverable is quite exciting. So this is a part of a contract that we have with Strickland Ranch and Exports from the US. So we direct selected them in order to source the sheep. And so we're excited to have this first deliverable and to be able to, as Colville said, be part of the SVG Food Insecurity Project, trying to reduce our insecurity in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So it's exciting to see the deliverable, it's exciting to welcome the sheep to St. Vincent in that sense.
And Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Saboto Caesar, commended the multi-ministerial approach taken between the Ministry of Economic Planning and the Ministry of Agriculture for bringing to reality the shipment of sheep.
It took very hard and dedicated work by the technician who is leading the project, the World Bank $10 million project in the ministry, Mr. Colville King. Over the past months, he has worked with other technicians in the ministry and with an admin staff to ensure that all the prerequisites were in place so that we can begin to see the deliverables. I want to take this opportunity also to recognize the hard work of the chief vet, Dr. Haksha, and her staff. And I just want for persons who are following to have an appreciation of how the work is done. The policymaker will sit at cabinet, will go to the budget and speak to the general issues about increasing production and productivity in livestock. And the Minister of Finance, through the estimates in the budget, which were then passed, would work with the Minister of Agriculture to ensure that the enabling environment and the framework is there to finance these projects. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to hard work by the technicians day by day, not only by Mr. King, because Mr. King is the person who is leading on the entire envelope, but it took significant technical work to source these animals and to ensure that the breeds that we have here today are the ones that we think would best increase productivity in livestock and sheep here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Minister Caesar noted that they have to assess what is happening in SVG against the backdrop of the volcanic eruption in 2021, which saw significant destruction of animals in the red zone, the increased demand for sheep and other animals given what is taking place in the tourism and hospitality industry, with more room stock and more persons coming into the country, as well as the plan of CARICOM to help reduce the region's food import bill by 25% by 2025, which signals that they are going in the right direction.
To do is to ensure that the production among our farmers, that production is increased. And we are part of the OECS, and there is the OECS FAST strategy, whereby we are working to ensure that we have greater intra-regional trade as it pertains to livestock. We are aware that we export cattle and pigs, sheep, goats to Grenada, and there are other islands that are coming on board wanting to move animals from St. Vincent and the Grenadines to the islands. However, we have to ensure that we are food secured, that we have enough for ourselves, and this definitely is a step in that direction. I take my technical advice from the chief vet, and I am really happy that over the years she continues to work with the farmers in the country. I know that there are some persons who have received the subsidy as it pertains to the feed subsidy, and this is going to positively impact on production going forward. And for those persons who were saying that this project would not happen and it was all talk, I am happy to report to you that the technicians at the ministry, that they are at work, and today what we are seeing here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 103 heads receive, and the chief vet outlined the processes which must be followed. It will be remiss of me if I don't say this before I close. It's not a situation where you can call the ministry and request one of the animals that came in on a merry jet. That's not the plan. The plan is that these animals will be taken to the multiplication centers around the country that will be identified by the chief vet, and there will be a program whereby over a period of time they will be slowly released, the offsprings will be slowly released into the population, and farmers will benefit. So I'm just asking for some patience.
And on radio today, Acting Prime Minister Montgomery Daniel congratulated the Ministry of Agriculture for the number of support that it has been offering to farmers across the country. He made mention of the shipment of sheep which arrived there yesterday, which will increase the present stock that is in the country.
There has been the importation of that livestock to improve the present stock we have here on the ground here in St. Vincent. One may ask, well, how do I get one of those breeds? But of course, the Ministry of Agriculture has made it clear that there is going to be a multiplication program on the agriculture stations where these animals would be kept. And as the multiplication program intensifies, that from time to time there will be distribution of improved stock to farmers. That is at some later date, of course. When the stock is built, then you can begin the distribution process across St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Minister Daniel further noted that in this month, the Ministry of Agriculture distributed 50 goats to farmers in North Windward.
50 farmers getting new and improved breeds on their farms. It means, therefore, that the quality of the animals will be continuously improving.
Yes.
And that, of course, you will have better quality meat, that you would have animals with higher returns to the farmers because they are meat breeds. And so the farmers overall will benefit from these programs.
The acting Prime Minister said the ministry is also on a drive to increase cattle production, noting that both locally and regionally there is a high demand for beef.
The coming on stream of the larger hotels here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the demand is really going to be increasing because, as you know, with the larger hotels, of course, the number of mouths to be fed will increase. And so beef, which is in high demand, the ministry is on a drive to have that increase in cattle production. But while I speak to you, of course, I'm aware equally that the local butchers, that they are of a growing concern to the extent that there is quite a high level of exports of cattle out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, the question one will have to answer is, in my mind, that how can our local butchers meet the competitiveness of the demand of the livestock industry? Because they are showing concern that of the export of beef out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, cattle out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Innovations in the agriculture sector, such as impact pumps, are needed here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to increase food production. This is according to Deputy Chief Agricultural Officer Colville King, who at the World Food Day ceremony on Monday emphasized the need to have mainstream pumps to expand food production by harvesting water from streams and rivers.
The flow of the river is what allows that pump to pump water uphill. I would like to call on the private sector, therefore, to support fabricators like these to make low-cost technologies such as these pumps available to farmers. I'd like to call on our cooperating agencies such as FAO and ICA to double the efforts. We've been having really excellent results from these agencies, but we'd like to encourage you to assist our producers in acquiring such low-cost technology.
In regards to sustainability, King pointed out that while technology is at our disposal, all efforts will be in vain if the younger generation do not enter the agriculture sector to take it forward.
Encourage more persons, younger persons especially, and again I'm speaking to the students from the community college, Division of Technical and Vocational Education, to get involved in active farming and other aspects of agriculture. Because without this, we are not going to sustain our levels of food production, our food sovereignty, and our food security.
And technical advisor with the SVG Fleet Expansion program, Pedig Sheep, is encouraging fisherfolk in the country to invest in larger vessels to facilitate more international exportation. Sheep outlined a number of benefits that can be obtained from the SVG Fleet Expansion program.
You're going out and spending up to a week at sea fishing, right? And then when you come back in, you return with a large tuna. These tunas usually weigh between 90 to 120 pounds or bigger, right? And then one of the exporters or the off-takers, they would facilitate the export to the United States. This project has the capability or the capacity to benefit the economy, right? Provide economic growth. It has possibilities for tourism, for trade, and for commerce, right? All of which we would like to encourage in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to build a resilient economy.
Sheep also pointed out that there is a lot of fish wastage in SVG, with organs being disposed of at the various fish centers, and the aim should be to have 100% utilization of fish and fish products.
You don't just cut up your fish and take your fish and go home, but rather the guts also. We can use the guts to make fish meal, or we can use it to make pig food, right? Fish is one of the easiest meat or forms of protein that you can get 100% utilization from, and it's very nutritious. Similarly, the guts and so forth, they're also high in protein, right? So fish meal and protein and pig food, that's it. So these same fish guts, you dry them, enrich them, and you turn them out the same way they turn out fowl feed and rabbit feed with the kind of pellets. Right, and you can use that to feed. You can use that meal to feed fishes. Or you use that same meal and you feed it to pigs.